All right, here we go. Doing predictions for the June joust because now we're past the May Melee and there's a hero pool involved, and the heroes that are banned are Tracer and Sombra for DPS, Reinhardt for tank, and then Zenyatta for support. So in the first matches of NA, we have Toronto Defiant versus Paris Eternal. And without rush comps, I think Toronto is probably the favorite in the match. I'd like to give Paris a little bit more credit, but I think Paris was fairly decent on rush, and I think they looked okay on other things, but I think Toronto looks probably better than Paris. And then we have the Florida Mayhem versus the London Spitfire. And there's not really much to say here. Florida is fairly decent at non-rush comps. And I think... And London is still trying to get their first win of the season. They haven't even proved that they can beat a team that they come across yet. So I don't know why I would think they would be able to beat Florida at all. I don't even think they'll take a map against Florida. Anyway, the next day we have Paris versus Justice. Unfortunate. But Justice haven't been pushed too hard, I don't think. So it's hard to tell exactly how strong Justice are, but I think they're probably better than Paris. And although I'll probably regret it, I'll give Paris a map, but I don't think that Paris will even win a map. But I want to be nice, so I'll give them a map. Houston versus Atlanta. Atlanta, unfortunate how they lost to Shock, but this shows that they can at least hang with the top teams a little bit. But considering Atlanta has not put forth any actual results, even in the past, I'm going to have to go with the Houston Outlaws. I'll give Atlanta a map because I genuinely think they could take map. They could even go the distance with Houston if they play good enough, but until they beat better teams, Atlanta's always just going to be on that tier of, well, they can kind of play against these teams, but they're never going to actually do anything. Toronto versus Boston. This one I think is a little tough to decide. I think Toronto wins here probably like 7 times out of 10, realistically. But I'm going to go with Boston to 3-2. I don't know why. I think Toronto probably wins, in all honesty. But I'm getting that feeling. If there's any one match that I'm really unsure about so far, it's probably that one. Moving on to the final day of NA, we have Atlanta Reign versus the London Spitfire. I'm gonna go with the Atlanta Reign 3-1. No particular reason. I just think Atlanta's better than London. Until London gets a win, I'm not going to predict London. So it's very unfortunate. So maybe if they win against Atlanta or against, what was it, Florida? I doubt they'll beat Florida, but they might be able to beat Atlanta if Atlanta mess up. Washington versus Boston. I'm just going to give Justice 3 and Boston 0. I just think it'll be a one-sided affair. The Justice will just want to come in and just destroy them and then just get out. And Houston versus Florida is fairly interesting because Houston got knocked out by Dallas, and Florida got knocked out by Shanghai, and Shanghai got knocked out by Dallas. But in that was in the May melee. It just comes down to how strong the Houston's tanks can be when they're not on Ryan Zarya, because they're very good. They were really good at Rush, and I think they looked serviceable, if not pretty good, on other comps. But they'll have to be playing those other styles of comps the entire time. I'm going to give it to Houston. I'm going to give it to them in 5 maps. Because I think Florida will make them work for it if they win. Otherwise, Florida is going to be the winner here. We have Guangzhou, and now we have to go over to APAC. We have Guangzhou versus Hangzhou. The Spark versus the Charge. I'm just going to give it to Spark. I'll give Guangzhou a map this time. Well, I think I gave Guangzhou a map last time. No, I said it was going to go to 5 last time. That's right. I thought it was going to go to 5 because these teams used to always go to 5 in the previous seasons. And then this time, the Spark just came in and rolled them. I think Guangzhou will probably do better, but I also think that now that Spark are pretty much going to be forced to pretty much only run Winston comps, Winston or ball comps, but mostly Winston, probably double bubble stuff. Gushui is really good. Gushui is really good with the Winston. This meta is probably pretty good for Hangzhou. Granted, I don't think they're better than some of the other teams in the league, but most of the upper teams in the league, but at least against the lower teams in APAC, I think they're going to win. Shanghai versus Chengdu Hunters. I'm going to give it to Shanghai 3-2. I think the Hunters are going to make Shanghai work for it, but I think that the Chengdu Hunters beat Shanghai once. Shanghai is going to learn and then beat Chengdu. Also, Dragons are probably a little upset that they didn't win the May melee, and they're going to be coming back with force, and Chengdu is going to catch Shanghai on a bad day. I can see Shanghai sweeping Chengdu. I don't find it likely, but I can see a world in which it happens. New York versus Philly. New York is... Philly should win, okay? Philly should win, and Philly should win handily. New York is a pretty good team, all things considered. But Philly is just better. And if you ask me, Philly probably should have been the one to be in the May melee instead of Shanghai Dragons. I think Philly threw away their series against Shanghai several times, had many more opportunities to win. So props to Shanghai for taking advantage of those opportunities and making it to the May melee, but let's just move on. Shanghai Dragons versus the Hangzhou Spark. The last time it was pretty close. I'm only giving Spark 1 map though. I didn't even expect them to win a map the last time they played Shanghai, and then they ended up winning 2. So maybe if I predict them to with 1 map, maybe they'll win. I don't know. I want Spark to win. I would truly do. I don't think it will happen though. New York versus Guangzhou. I'm gonna go with New York. New York 3, Guangzhou 2. Guangzhou needs to get their butts into gear, but I think New York's probably going to stop them. And then the final match is just Philly versus Chengdu. How do you, I guess Philly? I'm going to go with Philly. Philly 3, Chengdu 1. I think Chengdu can win. I don't think they're going to. But they could win. But they're probably not going to. The only match that Chengdu has actually lost so far in the regular season is actually to Philly. And I guess if the predictions that I've made here come true, they'll also have lost to Shanghai. But that'll be it for me. I'm done saving my predictions. And there we go. All right. Catch you all in the next one. Peace.